Good morning, my name is Alex Woods and I'm a civil litigator, and for the past 3 years I've been specialising in the field of financial mis-selling, principally bringing payment protection insurance claims on behalf of consumers against the banks. Now, I got into the insolvency sector really purely for business reasons in many ways, because what I was finding with the claims I was bringing against the banks was, whilst I was being successful in winning the cases and achieving pretty good payouts for the clients, I would actually want to say very good payouts for the clients, the difficulty for me as a business was cash flowing or financing that litigation. And I therefore moved into processing PPI within IVAs in order to cash flow the business. So that's the story. I mean, I actually discovered that the banks were really quite, I'm sure it comes no surprise to you as insolvency practitioners, quite canny and commercial in the way that they approach the problem of emerging law firms, solicitors specialising in the sector, because payment protection insurance litigation can be quite complex. It's not, as many high street conveyancing firms have discovered to their cost, just like the personal injury sector, and you can turn the handle and cough up a decent profit each year. It's been a little more problematic than that. So that's why I got into PPI and processing PPI within IVAs. Now that I've got into it, and I won my first insolvency practitioner client probably 18 months ago, small insolvency practitioner in Dartford, once I got into it, I've actually become quite interested in the sector and started to specialise principally in insolvency, working with insolvency practitioners to realise payment protection insurance and other financial mis-selling claims within insolvency and IVAs. Now, I suppose that the sort of contract or the deal that I'm presenting to insolvency practitioners is something of a two-way street, and I suppose my unique selling point, my business model, is to say to you, the insolvency practitioner, whilst you're sitting back in your swivel chair enjoying your double espresso and having a cigarette with a window open, is you provide me as a service company to you, the insolvency practitioner, with your IVAs so that I can enhance your IVA fund by processing the payment protection insurance claims within them, and in return I offer you legal advice and assistance and litigation services. And I, as one fellow professional to another, because as a solicitor who's currently going through the authorisation process of setting up their own law firm, I am au fait with the problems of one's regulator and the amount of red tape one has to wade through. I will help you not just to comply with the statements of insolvency practice, but ensure that you do the whole exercise whilst remaining in compliance with your codes of ethics, your codes of ethics. So that is really at the heart of sort of the business proposition that I'm offering you, my insolvency practitioner customers. I have set up 2 PPI IVA processing units within 2 law firms. One I set up in autumn of 2011, now having a significant involvement in setting up a second unit at a second law firm in Norwich. And I'm also, which is something of an interim arrangement, I'm consulting to them and I'm also litigating my cases through their firm whilst I set up my own law firm, Redwood Legal. And I hope to have my doors open for business in the very near future. So now something about this website. I ran for a couple of years a website or a video blog called cartoonbankers.com, and what I wanted to do was, it was a bit of a passion project for me. What I was interested in doing was demystifying the practices of the bottom feeding subprime lending sector, and to illuminate what was really going on. And I'm afraid the sorry truth, the sorry tale of the payment protection insurance and non-status lending is that the big banks bought out many of these non-status lenders back in the day, and kind of, if you like, built in sharp practice, shady dealings. And I'm not exaggerating, and please do send me a comment or two, and do look at the case studies that I'll be posting on the left hand side of the screen, in which I continue to throw light and illuminate the practices of the non-status lending sector. I'm sure they're cleaning up their act, but historically there's quite a lot of shadiness that's been going on. I'm proud to say that, and I've also got the dubious credit of having appeared on Rip Off Britain with Gloria Hunniford, in which I got about 30 seconds of fame, followed by a clip of her interviewing Eric Leanders, the head of the British Bankers Association, in which he ran rings around her and showed what a master of spin he is. If you can find that video, if you want a copy of the video, contact me, because it's very interesting to watch, to see how she asks him a blunt question about what the banking sector are doing about the payment protection insurance scandal, and he responds by answering a completely different question and saying the problem is the claims management companies bringing all these bogus claims and making it so difficult for us banks to act fairly to repay payment protection insurance compensation to the poor consumers. It's a martial bit of spin, and I encourage you all to try and watch it. So I'm proud to say that I have, of the 12 pilot cases that I originally brought, 10 of them were successful, and perhaps really most significantly was the way in which they were successful, because I managed to obtain in nearly all of those 10 cases what I would call full compensation. The settlements that we won, and it often took us to the courtroom doors, were compensation for the consumer's true loss for the missale of the payment protection insurance claim. Not just a bunch of premiums plus 8% statutory interest. And also, I'm pleased to say that the consumer didn't part with a penny. We required some money up front to cash flow the case, but then subsequently that cheque was refunded to the client, and we didn't take a penny of their compensation, so they got 100% of their compensation in their pockets. So there's a bit of a plug for you. And but I mention it because I was keen to set up a business in which the consumers could see and use the website to trumpet the good news that the consumer, that there was recourse to a consumer who'd been missold payment protection insurance, and that they could get their compensation in full, providing that they held their nerve. So, and as I say, I've now moved into insolvency, and I'm hoping that I can continue to litigate cases on behalf of consumers, even though my principal focus will be on the insolvency sector. So thank you very much for listening to the introductory video. On the left, as I say, you will see case studies of the various cases that I've been litigating in order to educate people about the law and to demystify the sector, throw light on the sector. And on the central section, because it's my principal focus, and also because it's more of a pressing issue as insolvency practitioners are awaiting guidelines from their regulator, I will tend to focus over the next coming weeks on payment protection insurance within IVAs and insolvency, and post on a weekly basis short videos touching on the various topics and issues that are coming up in that sector. For example, although a lender may have recourse to equitable set-off, and that is something that's available to him if you bring a claim for payment protection insurance within an IVA, one of the questions I still have, and I'm not convinced by the barristers on, is whether or not if a lender has come to the table to apply equitable set-off without clean hands, whether set-off is justified, just to give you a sample of what the sort of things that I'll be talking about in the future. I'm new to the sector, relatively speaking, but on a daily basis I'm learning more and more. And I'm very interested for you to post comments under these videos and for us to start up some sort of dialogue, and to encourage dialogue, and also hopefully at the end of the day to help win me business and to help you make reasonable profits, whilst at the same time making sure that you are in compliance with your regulator. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to your posts.